Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today is Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos.
It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a treat.
Oh, gotta love that song. Gotta love that song. Looking very much looking forward to tacos today. Taco Tuesday today is we're gonna have some chicken tacos and kind of a chicken chipotle tacos. So anyway, it's gonna be kind of fun. My daughter being the phenomenal cook that she is gonna be hooking us up. So we're gonna get our eat on this evening for Taco Tuesday. Would love to hear what kind of tacos you plan on enjoying this evening. If you want to tell us, just do us a favor. Go ahead and drop your information right there in the chat. By the way, just want to let you guys know, if you're watching us live, that's 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Go ahead and, you can chat Discord if you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, if you're watching us on Rumble, if you're watching us on Twitter. Go ahead and let us know what you have to say. If you like what you see, if you don't like what you see, if you want to hear some, a little bit more. I see Gilbert there. Gilbert Glenn Jr. has chimed in. That's a cool cat, man. That's a real cool cat you got posted right there in the comments there on Facebook. Thank you so much. But go ahead and chime in. Would love to hear what you have to say about whatever topics we're talking about. That's kind of why we're here. We're kind of here to talk with you guys. So, since Mike's not here today, it helps me to be able to talk with y'all. So go ahead, let us know what you have to say, and if I can get around to it, I will, and it's interesting. That's the number one thing. I don't have to agree with it. I don't even have to like it. It just has to be interesting. I will read your comments. I will read your comments online. In any case, getting back to where we were. By the way, I also want to make sure, got to do that thing, because before we get into giving a quick shout out to our sponsors, we're going to start with Hitman Industry. It's going to be Hitman platform style rifle. So just go ahead and check them out today. And if you are a first responder and you've never purchased from them before, guess what? You're going to get a discount. So go there, check them out, hitmanindustries.net. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all levels of government, from behind enemy lines, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. So do us a favor. Go visit them at cragop.org. That's cragop.org. If you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got Hog Holsters, the best in concealed carry and tactical holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. You can use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right there, and you're going to get a discount. So check them out today, hogholsters.com. And then finally, the best in outdoor gear, camping gear, tactical gear. Matter of fact, they have all things tactical except the gun. They have fast shipping. They have a huge selection. They have very competitive prices. Veteran owned and operated, as I said before, uscombatgear.com. Check them out today. All right, let's get into today's news. And, it's kind of interesting because I did a video a while back, and I was specifically talking to the folks who did. This was out. I did it right after the first assassination attempt on Donald Trump, and the goal of this video was really just to kind of talk to people and say, look, you know what? I mean, it was twofold. The first was. I wanted to make it so that I wanted to say, number one, look, you can't just say all different types of hateful stuff, and not have there be consequences, right? You can't, in other words, as I've said before on the show, if you're going to say things like Donald Trump is Hitler, if you're going to make it out like the election of Donald Trump is going to cause, the end of the world, it's pretty close to what they were trying to say. I mean, it was some of the stuff that they were saying about Donald Trump was pretty darn bad, or they've been saying. If you're going to say that, well, then you really can't. What's the word I'm looking for? You can't expect that people aren't going to take advantage. You can't expect that people aren't going to hear you say this stuff, that people aren't going to hear the rhetoric. And by the way, there are going to be people who are very, very normal people who are going to hear it. They're going to be like, yeah, that's just rhetoric. But at the same time, there are people who are going to hear the stuff that you are saying, and they're going to take it literally. They are not the sharpest knives in the drawer, right? They are the sort of people that when they hear this stuff, they're going to act on it. And it's going to cause them to it's going to cause them to do stuff that, quite frankly, the crazy people do, which is things like, attempt assassination attempts, right? Like attempt to assassinate the president of the United States. That's the sort of stuff that you're going to see these folks starting to do. I mean, think about this. Now, this is a video here that I'm going to share with you where they're literally, it's a montage of people just basically saying, yeah, Donald Trump, he's Hitler. And now you tell me if you think this is going to have some sort of an effect on folks.
Many are openly comparing Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. In fact, New York's Daily News ran this front page earlier this week. Trump is Hitler.
Meantime, the number of prominent people comparing you to Adolf Hitler is actually growing by the day.
People have compared Trump to Adolf Hitler.
He's striking fear, just like Hitler did in Germany.
Donald Trump said something Hitler-like yet again,
which caused another comparison between him and Adolf Hitler.
Biden campaign has noticed Trump's fascist speeches, and they've continually linked Trump to Hitler.
It's word for word out of Hitler's mouth, regurgitated by Donald.
Trump kept a book of Hitler quotes, and there have been multiple accounts of Trump having a fascination with Hitler.
Donald Trump parroted Adolf Hitler.
Trump's interest in Hitler and Nazi Germany, Trump reportedly persisted speaking positively about Hitler.
So I had one of Hitler's speeches translated into English, and I think this tells us a lot about where Donald Trump is getting his ideas.
That sounds a lot like a certain leader that killed members of my family and about 6 million other Jews in the 1940s.
Does the Biden campaign feel that Donald Trump is on the level of Hitler and Mussolini?
Donald Trump has proven that he's on the level of Hitler and Mussolini.
Brother Trump is at this moment becoming the American version of a Hitler and a Mussolini.
President Trump continues to use fascist language.
What Donald Trump said and what fascist leaders in the past have said, you can't bring up the fact that Donald Trump talks like a fascist or Mussolini or Hitler.
Trumpism as neo-fascism, Hitlerian fascism.
He is essentially paraphrasing what Adolf Hitler talked about in Mein Kampf.
The term blood poisoning was used by Hitler in his manifesto Mein Kampf.
He remembers me of Hitler. That's the way he started speaking.
You're really saying he reminds you of Adolf Hitler?
I say that he reminds me of Hitler.
Now, think about this. And by the way, if you're wondering why it was taking me so long, why I was kind of stumbling over my words earlier, I was actually... I wanted to talk about the video, and I didn't even think about sharing the video with you. So I wanted to... Once again, being both in front of and behind the camera at the same time, I wanted to take an opportunity to then share the video with you that I did. And it pretty much, well, I'll let the video speak for itself, and then we'll talk about it on the flip side. Democrats, the mainstream media, academia, all the way up to the President of the United States himself, have been comparing Donald Trump to Hitler.
Trump loves Hitler. The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler.
Who I got to vote for in November to keep Hitler out the White House. That's all I want to know.
This is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things.
People have rightly found similar to the language of Hitler.
Making comments like, if he is elected, it's going to be the end of democracy.
Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans quote a clear and present danger to our democracy.
homosexuals and people in the media are going to be disappeared.
I'm going to take all the journalists, I'm going to take all the gay folks, I'm going to move you all around and disappear you. If that's the country you want, you know who to vote for.
That black people are going to be put back in chains.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
You keep continually putting out that sort of rhetoric, somebody is going to latch onto that and act upon it. Now, if we were to hold any of those individuals, including and up to President Biden, to the same standard that his Department of Justice has tried to hold Donald Trump for what occurred on January 6th, well then, one, somebody needs to be impeached, but then number two, perhaps the people need to be brought up on federal charges. And that was kind of the point. Look, you can't have it both ways, right? Democrats seem to want to have it both ways. They seem to want to say, well, Republicans, you can't say things that if you say something and then people are violent, it doesn't really matter if what you say inspires that violence or not, or leads to that. If you say something, if you open your mouth and then there is violence, you incited it. But when they do it, when they say things that are clearly insightful, now I just want to ask you, if you know that the next Hitler is likely to become president of the United States, right? And you are a crazy person, is it not within the realm of possibility that you're going to think, everybody who's all these liberal, I'm a liberal, all these liberals who are credible are telling me that he's the next Hitler. Maybe I need to take him out. You can't think that some nut job is going to think that. Now, once again, I will say it one more time. Only the person who tried to kill him, the two people who attempted to assassinate President Trump, they are the only one. They are the only ones responsible. They are the ones to be held responsible. But when we start talking about the rhetoric, right? When we start talking about the rhetoric, don't you think you ought to think a little bit about it? Don't you think you ought to maybe rethink? I can come against his policies. I can come against his personality. But do I really need to call him the next Hitler? Do I really? And here's the other part. The other part about it is that even when they do talk about his policies, they flat out lie. I mean, you had the Vice President of the United States say that Donald Trump is going to have an abortion monitor, pregnancy monitor, follow women around to see if they get abortions past a deadline in violation of a ban. You have her saying that he supports a ban. You have people like Whoopi Goldberg, who is a national media figure. I mean, she has a daily program that is on a major network saying that he's going to lock up all gay people and he's going to lock up all reporters. And you're telling me that some nut job sitting at home, and trust me, well, first of all, I do believe that liberalism is a mental disorder. I think that to a degree it has to be. Well, anyway, I'm just kidding. But anyway, but you have to stop to realize that there are people on both sides who are kind of out there. People who are willing to go to extreme measures beyond what is normal and reasonable and within political discourse. Why do you feed into that? And by the way, let us just be clear. So far, and Elon Musk said this, you notice nobody's trying to attempt to kill Kamala Harris or Tim Walz, and they came down on him saying, you're encouraging that. No one is encouraging that. What he is saying is the rhetoric on the side of the right, on the side of Republicans, on the side of Donald Trump, is against their policies. Now, we may say things about them personally that, well, you may bring up something about whether or not she's Indian or whether or not she's black, or you may call her fake, or you may make fun of her laugh. We may make fun of her laugh, but you're not hearing anyone saying that she is the next Hitler, that she is an existential threat to the world, that she is going to lock Christians up and throw away the key. And by the way, that's probably closer to the truth than anything they've said about Donald Trump. But you see the difference? When we're talking about her personality, when we're talking about her personally, we're talking about her personality, right? We're talking about her failings, not how evil and destructive and how she is going to kill everyone, right? How she's going to lock everyone up and be authoritarian. We're not saying that. At least I'm not saying that. I don't hear Trump saying that. I hear him say that she's dumb, that she's not very smart. There might be some evidence to that. But all that having been said, you're not seeing that. But Democrats are basically saying that well, Trump is evil. He is evil. He is the devil. And because he is the devil, we must stop him from being president of the United States again. And this is the thing that I think that I think we all need to stop to realize. All of the things that Kamala Harris says that he's going to do when he becomes president, he didn't do when he was president. He had a chance to do it, and he didn't do it. Conversely, all the things that she says she is going to do on day one when she becomes president, she's already in charge. She could have already done it. The Biden-Harris administration could have already done it, and she didn't. Folks, if there's anything that I can tell you that the polls are showing is that as these two candidates speak, they are not removing the questions about the questions that people have about them. In other words, the things that concern people about them are still concerning them. With Donald Trump, it's his temperament, right? It's the things that he says, and those sorts of things. You know, the fact that he can be mean, the fact that he can be disrespectful. But with Kamala Harris, it's that she's a left-wing liberal, that she's been a part of the failed Biden-Harris administration, and she's part of the reason we're in this mess. And by the way, like I said, in both cases, nothing has disavowed the independent voter, the people who are probably going to wind up deciding this election, but the independent voter still believes, yeah, Donald Trump is still kind of a mean jerk, but he was really good on the economy. And Kamala Harris is very good with the teleprompter, but she's ruined the economy. And that ought to tell you the direction that they're leaning. And I believe that's where the election is going to eventually wind up being turned. It's going to wind up being turned based on, the things that people actually should be deciding elections on. Or at least that's what I hope, right? That's what I'm hoping. Now, the other thing that you're starting to see liberals do is not only are they coming out with the Donald Trump hate, but they're now pushing once again the whole gun control thing. And the funny part about it is now they're like, well, hopefully Donald Trump will come out in favor of gun control. Now that there have been 2 attempted shootings on him, both with semi-automatic centerfire rifles, maybe, just maybe, he will ban them. Now, a couple of things that they ignore, and this is what I wanted to talk about in this particular piece, is basically that this is it's a gun control fail. It's a gun grabber fail. That's what's happened here, and it's outlined by our good friend Mr. Lee Williams over at Truth About Guns. It says here, latest would-be Trump assassin broke numerous gun laws, meaning there were gun laws already in place and they were broken. The second would-be presidential assassin in just 2 months should never have possessed a firearm because of his status as a convicted felon. Ryan Weasley Rowell, 58, has an arrest history showing more than 100 contacts with law enforcement going back to the 1990s, which includes both felony and misdemeanor convictions. Roth reportedly smiled and laughed while walking into a federal court for his arraignment Monday morning. He was charged with being a felon in possession with a firearm and possessing a firearm with an obliterated serial number, and faces a maximum of 20 years in prison and a $500,000 in fines. However, prosecutors have impaneled a federal grand jury and are pursuing more serious charges. Roth's criminal history shows an arrest in 2002 for what North Carolina officials described as weapons law violation and terroristic threats. He was convicted of possessing a weapon of mass destruction, which officials have not yet fully explained. Basically, he had a machine gun without a license. In order to own a machine gun in the United States, you have to have a specific license, and he had one, so it's considered a weapon of mass destruction. In 2010, Roth was convicted of possessing stolen property, which was used as the basis for Monday's felony in possession charge. I can't believe being in possession, a person in possession of a weapon of mass destruction isn't a felony, but okay. Roth's most recent address was in Hawaii, where he reportedly owned a company that manufactures storage sheds. How he obtained the scoped 7.62 39mm rifle allegedly found at the crime scene in Florida, possibly I'm not going to try and pronounce it. Anyway, or SK, we'll call it, it's an SKS, is not known. It would have been extremely difficult for Roth to transport the weapon from Hawaii, and it should have been illegal for him to purchase it in Florida. All right, so in other words, the point once again is this guy broke numerous gun laws, right? Well, first of all, he couldn't purchase the gun in Florida because he's not a resident of Florida, so he would have been able to purchase the gun legally there in Florida. He had filed the number off of the gun, which my guess is the number was already filed off of the firearm when he bought it, because he likely purchased it illegally. He probably didn't purchase it from a firearms retailer, which, by the way, means he probably didn't file a 4473, which means that that's another crime right there. Felon in possession of a firearm. Once again, all of these crimes that were committed, and yet, what does the left want? The left wants more gun crimes. Basically what they want to do is they want to make law-abiding citizens criminals when it comes to owning guns. If you're a law-abiding gun owner, they want to make you a criminal. And that's what their goal is here with some of these things. But I just wanted to point out to you that more laws do not address this particular issue. How about enforcing laws? How about when you have someone who makes credible threats, you actually enforce the law? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being too law and ordery ish. But I think the point's made. I think you get the fact that having this happen is not more gun laws is not going to solve the problem. I'll tell you what else is not going to solve the problem, and that is blaming Donald Trump. And this is a trip, because on one hand, blaming Donald Trump for bomb threats. Now, let's think about this. So you may have heard there have been a number of bomb threats at schools, at public parks and things like that across the country, right? Across the country, this has been happening. Now, I know that in Ohio, they had 33, what they considered to be, they had 33 threats. All 33 were termed to be non-credible, or they were all debunked. All 33 were from foreign entities. So far as we know, no bomb threats, no bombs have gone off, nobody's been attacked. None of the things, I know that we've seen that a couple of the schools right down the street here from me have such social media threats. In every single case, it has been debunked, right? It has been noted that, no, they're not happening, but also that they're coming from foreign countries. Now, Democrats have taken to blaming Donald Trump for these. They're saying, well, the rhetoric of Donald Trump and talking about Haitian immigrants. Well, first of all, it's not only happening in Ohio, it's happening all across the country. So that's issue number one. Number two, it's like, So if a Republican says something completely and utterly unrelated, well, they must be inciting violence. If a Democrat says something specifically about somebody, about that person over there, and then someone else who, by the way, donated multiple times, somebody who's affiliated or a supporter of, a clear supporter of that person, or the people making the comments, try to kill that person, well then Democrats have no, they have no saying. They have no issue. And that's what I'm talking about. It's if conservatives say something, they are inciting violence. If conservatives say something and someone is violent against someone else, then the conservative is at fault. If conservatives say something, or if conservatives don't say anything, and then someone is violent against conservatives, then conservatives incited it with their rhetoric. In other words, you literally have people saying that, these Republicans, if they don't want to be seen, if they're Donald Trump, if he doesn't want to be seen as, as a threat to democracy, maybe he should stop threatening democracy. Now, I would love for people to share with me in context the statements that he has made that shows that he's a threat to democracy. The ones that come to mind, the ones that they bring up all the time. Let's see. The first one is, oh, by the way, I just wanted to make sure to show this to you. This is Bob DeWine. This is the governor of Ohio, who made it a point to point out that, once again, the 33 bomb threats in Springfield alone, the 30 bombs in Springfield alone, have all been hoaxes from overseas. Right? So all of them have been hoaxes from overseas. And I think what we're going to find as we start to look into most of these situations that are happening across the country, they're all going to be hoaxes from overseas. None of them are going to be inspired by Donald Trump or by J.D. Vance or by, someone saying that Haitians are eating people's pets or, by Donald Trump and cat and duck memes. But what I find interesting is that the left takes absolutely no accountability. And once again, I am not saying that they are to blame for the attempts on Donald Trump's life. I am saying that perhaps they should reconsider or take a look at the rhetoric that they are saying. When you specifically call someone Hitler, when you specifically liken him to the devil, when you specifically say he is going to do things in particular that he's not going to do, he never said he was going to do, when you say he supports things that he never said he supported, when you just simply make stuff up about him in order to make people hate him, and then go around and say, happy, happy, joy, joy, our campaign is about joy because we hate Donald Trump, but at least we hate him with joy. Yeah, you're part of the problem. I mean, I want to be able to have a conversation and talk politics. I love talking politics. But I find that with many on the left, when I start talking about policy, they start talking about personality, right? When I start talking about specific things, when they do talk policy, they bring up stuff that just is not true. And I wind up having to disavow them of the mis and disinformation that they have. I mean, stuff that has clearly been debunked. That's what gets me. It's when it's stuff that I'm like, look, I shouldn't have to do this. Liberal fact checkers have fact checked this stuff and said, yeah, no, that's not true. Or it's misleading. Or you have to put it in context. And usually the context they wind up putting in is really kind of screwed up context. It's not the proper. It's like, okay, well, yes, it looks like he supports propaganda or it looks like he supports Project, was it Project? Propaganda, whatever you want to call it, Project 2025. If you close one eye, you squint your head to the side, and you read it from 50 feet away, then it looks like Donald Trump might support it. That's the sort of stuff they have. That's the sort of stuff they do in order to give the left, some credibility on some of this stuff. But once again, I digress. I keep going back to the idea that I'm like, at what point are we going to actually have some truth in this stuff? At what point are you going to stop to say, maybe, just maybe, if I stop making some of these harebrained statements, that maybe, let's say, look, Donald Trump supports these things. You want to talk about his support of tariffs? Talk about his support of tariffs. You want to talk about the effect that would have on the economy? Yeah, that's good to talk about. You want to talk about the fact that he wants to deport illegal immigrants, people who entered the country illegally? You think that's wrong? Talk about that. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing out of bounds or hateful talking about that, right? You don't like the fact that he's pro-business and wants to remove regulation? You don't like the fact that he wants to drill, baby, drill? Talk about those things. There's plenty for you to disagree with without calling him Hitler or the devil or accuse him of stuff that he never said he was going to do or policies he's never advocated for. You may not have pulled the trigger. Democrats may not have pulled the trigger. But they certainly are pointing the shooter Trump's direction. They may not think that they are. They may think that all they're doing is inspiring people to vote against him. But there are some people. There are a very small minority of people who are taking the things that you are saying about him very literally. And they are taking the fact that you are telling them this stuff, they're taking that as this is a call to action. Now, it is a call to action. Your Democrats are telling them to try and vote. But they see it as a greater threat, especially when the polls are showing that he's likely going to win. Anyway, I'm just saying, y'all, can y'all at least, like I said, I'm not saying don't passionately disagree with him. I'm not saying don't debate him. I'm not saying don't come against his policies if you don't like his policies. What I am saying is that the hyperbolic crap, the over-the-top stuff, the stuff that is leading, that could potentially lead people to go to that next level, y'all need to stop it. You need to stop. Seriously. All right, Democrats lie again, this time about IVF. And I wanted to point this one out because this is something, by the way, a move that Democrats specifically did because the president came out and said that he believes that he believes that he would mandate insurance companies pay for IVF, right? Which is in vitro fertilization, or for people who are trying to have kids. Now, there was a bill that was in the House, or that was in the Senate, that failed. And Democrat Chuck Schumer decided he was going to bring the bill back up for a vote, right? Because what he wanted to show was he wanted to try and bring it up for a vote because he wanted to show, well, Republicans don't really support this, and Donald Trump doesn't really support this, and so they're going to kill it. Now, so here you have the story here at CBS News. Senate Republicans block IVF package as Democrats highlight reproductive rights. Now, number one, keep in mind, this is the only thing that they have is reproductive rights is the only thing that they have, right? It's the only thing the Democrats are actually rated as more popular, or their position on a public policy issue is more favored than the Republicans. Because Republicans believe it's something that should be decided by the states, and the Republican Party hasn't taken a position against abortion as a whole. They've just simply said that there ought to be limits and restrictions. Democrats support absolutely no restrictions on abortion. They believe in abortion on demand up to and until birth, the date of birth. Now, they'll tell you they don't believe that, but when you ask them, okay, so when should there be a limit? They will never answer you. Anyway, embroiled in that, because this is a part of quote-unquote reproduction, is IVF. Now, IVF, Republicans are not against the idea of IVF. In fact, Republicans support IVF. Their belief is that, their issue with it is that they don't support Chuck Schumer's bill, right? And I'll go here to the end. It says, this is Schumer saying, we're going to give our Republican colleagues another chance to show the American people where they stand. And so Republicans, because in order for it to come up for a vote, you have to get what's called a cloture vote, 60 votes, which means that at least some Republicans have to vote in favor of closing debate, right? So here's what happened. So Republicans, they only got 51 votes, and that's because Republicans have issues with the bill. Now, Democrats have jumped on this to say, see, Republicans don't support IVF. Trump doesn't support IVF. And by the way, they seem to think that Republicans in the Congress will do exactly what Trump tells them to do. I don't know why they think that. I don't know why they think Trump has some sort of magic control over other politicians, but he doesn't, right? He absolutely doesn't. And, okay, here's the part I wanted to share with you. It says here, Republican Senators Ted Cruz of Texas and Katie Britt of Alabama proposed their own IVF bill later in the summer, which they said would prevent bans on the procedure, but allow for common sense regulation. That measure was blocked from being voted on when Cruz made a unanimous consent request to proceed with it. It has not been slated for a traditional vote. At the time, Cruz and Britt also led a statement that was signed by the entire Republican conference, reiterating their support for IVF. And here's the signature from all of the Republicans. Ahead of the cloture vote Tuesday, Cruz and Britt once again sought to proceed to a vote with their bill by way of unanimous consent. However, their request was objected to, which means that they couldn't vote on the bill. Now, here's the difference. The difference is, do you need to mandate that insurance pay for it? And that's what it all comes down to. When should they be forced to pay for it? Democrats want it. They want every insurance company on every policy. So in other words, if you are a 60-year-old man, you're not married, you've had a vasectomy, or whatever, you're never going to get pregnant, right? Whatever it is, you're never going to get pregnant. You're not interested in getting pregnant. Should the insurance company be forced to pay for IVF for you, right? If you are, let's say you're a 60-year-old woman, well past your normal childbearing years, and the chance of you actually getting pregnant, even through IVF, is 0.000001. Should the insurance company be forced to pay for it? These are the sorts of things that they're talking about. How many times should they be forced to pay for it? Every single time you want to do it? I mean, these are the sorts of common sense issues that Democrats don't want to address. Because, see, they want to call it a right to IVF. And that's what they do when they want to have something. They call it a right. They're not interested in whether or not it's they're not interested in real rights, right? Like the right to self-defense, like the right to keep and bear arms, like the right to freedom of religious expression, like the right to free speech. They don't care about any of those rights. Those rights don't matter. The rights they want, well, the right to have somebody else pay for your college education, right? The right to, chop off your child's penis, Yeah, I know that's kind of rough, but that's what, I'm sorry, we refer to that as gender affirming care. Okay, I'm not going to refer to it as that, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but this is the sort of stuff that they support. Anyway, one thing I will tell you, whenever they name a bill, right? Whenever they call it the Voting Rights Act, whenever they call it this case, the right to IVF, in vitro fertilization, they name it that, or the king of all of them, the Inflation Reduction Act. The point behind naming it has nothing to do with what the bill actually does. So you have to take the time to actually read the bill. And that's what's happened here, is Republicans read the bill. And the bill does a lot more than what they feel comfortable doing. And so they've introduced their own bill, which addresses the issue of IVF. It says you can't ban IVF, even though, by the way, no state has banned IVF. Now, I could be wrong. Feel free to put it in the comments. But as far as I know, no bill has banned IVF. I know that in Alabama, there was an instance where they thought it was an issue, and they actually, Republicans actually advocated for, and I believe passed a bill there in Alabama, making IVF legal. But I don't know of any state that ban where currently there is a ban of IVF. But the bill says, you can't ban it. Anyway, I look at this whole thing. I look at what Democrats do, and I look at what they say. And by the way, that's the main thing, is I look at what they do, and I look at both what they say and what they do, quite frankly, in my opinion, is wrong. And in some cases, all I can say is in some cases, it's just evil. And I'm not saying that they are evil. I'm not saying that all Democrats are evil. I'm saying that they tend to support some things that are evil. And they may not know it's evil. They may not think of it as evil. They may have deluded themselves into thinking that it's okay. But as far as I'm concerned, if you are allowing children to be, if you're allowing them to take medical procedures and to take medication that is going to permanently alter their physiology and harm them going into the future, that's evil. If you are not even considering whether a child in the womb is actually a person, is actually alive, if you're not even willing to consider that in favor of taking the life of that child, that's evil. If you are pushing pornography in schools, in children's schools, I'm sorry, that's evil. If you are telling people in Israel that, you have to allow a political entity, a terrorist entity that killed innocent men, women, and children, burning many of them in their cribs, many of the children in their cribs, and raped women to death, that you have to make peace with and allow that group to continue to exist? That's evil. I could go on and on, but there's just so many things that they seem to be supporting that are just evil. And maybe you can explain to me why it's not evil, and I can explain to you why I believe it is evil, and maybe we can have a conversation. But anyway, y'all need to stop supporting evil. That's all I'm going to say on that. On that note, let's go to something a little bit lighter. Let's go to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. Let's see here. All right, now, you might know that there is an investigation that is taking place where they're really looking into, the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And the FBI, we know how much they love Donald Trump. So according to the Babylon Bee, fake news that you can count on, FBI says we may never know the motivation of the would-be Trump assassin who was a Biden-Harris supporter and donated to Democrats 20 times. Wow. That's a little bit too close to the truth, folks. Yeah, because that's kind of, they literally, you have Democrats literally saying, well, we don't know his motivation. You can't say the Democratic rhetoric. Yeah, no. Trust me, we know. And then you have the whole disinformation, the whole debate over disinformation. Well, Hillary Clinton came out and basically said that if people are putting information out there that's misinformation, they should, some of them should be dealt with civilly, but some of them should be dealt with criminally and actually do jail time. In fact, you had Hillary Clinton say, Hillary Clinton says First Amendment is Russian disinformation. Yeah, that also comes to you from the Babylon Bee. And finally from the Babylon Bee, this coming from, finally from the Babylon Bee, in regards to all of the bomb threats, Merrick Garland warns if anyone insults migrants again, he will call in another bomb threat. I know. Funny. Hardy har har. And just once again, just so you know, I wonder if that means that he's a foreign agent, since all of those bomb threats have been deemed to be coming from foreign countries. I don't know. Anyway. All right, folks. That's going to do it for today. But before we go, we're going to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. You got Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you at hitmanindustries.net. You got the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Check them out at cragop.org. And then you've got Hog Holsters, the place to get concealed carry and tactical holsters at hogholsters.com. And then you can find all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a day, and we will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be hump day. Till then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and if you get a chance, make sure you send a few downrange. I'll holler at you later.